All right, welcome back from commercial. We got a new topic coming up. Chris, let us in.
I want to know what you guys think about corruption in sports. I was sort of tying that a little bit to the story we had last week about Sandusky and knowing that corruption exists in these institutions. But what do you think about it in general? I mean, like he brought up boosters. What do you think about steroid use, that kind of thing? I mean, do you think is there really?
Have you heard the calls that? Not to interrupt you. Have you heard the calls people talking about they should ban football and all sporting things because the corruption runs so deep in college? I've heard him say that a few times over the last couple weeks.
I don't think they should ban it, but
they were talking about the one. Jason Whitlock, I believe it was, filled in for Dan Patrick last week.
Right.
He was saying they should. He was saying, or whoever he was on. He said they should get rid of the stuff because it's so corrupt now that it doesn't make getting an education worth it.
Let me ask you guys a question. Do you believe that the best teams with the best players win the most games? Is it like that? Is it truly the best players and the best
in college?
Well, I mean,
college is too hard to tell because
there's
so many colleges.
Do you think the best fighter wins the most fights all the time?
No.
So sometimes the best fighter loses, right?
Sometimes the other guy is better than him on that night, though.
Yes.
That's the thing.
But see, that's what's still real about that.
Yeah.
It hasn't been to the point where they're throwing.
But hey, football, you can lose any weekend.
Look, in their era,
right? But
in their era and their time,
it's easier to throw a football.
Would you guys argue this point with me? In their era and time,
because
Dan Marino, John Elway, and Joe Montana were the best three quarterbacks in their era.
No doubt.
Sure.
No doubt.
In that era when they all three played, Joe was the only one won Super Bowls. Elway got there and lost. Marino got there and lost.
Yeah.
But they were the best three. Was it corruption that kept the other ones out?
No.
Or was it just
No,
luck?
Everybody loved Elway. He would have won one a long time ago.
I believe corruption's in sports.
Jim Kelly would have won one.
I believe there's corruption.
You lose 4 in a row, you got to give that dude a Super Bowl. Come on.
Right.
Now.
If it was set up, they'd have gave him one.
Yeah.
Just because of the story it made.
Yeah.
In every professional sports venue, whether it's it's basketball or hockey or football, one thing that I noticed that changed is when the leagues, like the NFL, the NHL, NBA, started getting paid directly for the ratings of the games.
Right.
Then I really saw a difference, especially in hockey. I don't know how many people are Red Wings fans, and I'm not being sour grapes or anything, but honestly, the game of hockey has changed tremendously over the last 15, 20 years. I mean, it is totally different.
Why is not every hockey game 3-2 then in overtime?
Well, I'm saying
because it easily could.
You don't have to fix every score.
You could easily make hockey do that every game.
Well, look, we know from what was the referee that went to jail
in basketball,
Donahue or something. He didn't even go to jail, dude.
No, he went to prison.
Did he?
Yeah,
he
was still in prison.
Right.
Yeah, that was like
Donahue or whatever his name was. I'm sure if you're watching, you know. There's obviously corruption in sports because of that guy. I mean, the Pistons would have had another world championship. He so much as admitted calling fake fouls on.
Right. If you have two evenly matched teams, two teams that are equal in ability and you know, all it takes is just a little bit to tip it one way. You got a last minute drive that ends in a penalty that's a phantom penalty, or somebody's touchdown drive gets extended because of a fucking
pass interference call.
Nobody was around him. There's nothing to touch him.
When you see stuff like that, you can easily say that game is fixed.
Right.
But you can't tell me that every game in the NFL, every game in NBA, every game in NHL has that outcome.
What I'm saying to you, what I would suggest to you is that they do give favor, they do tip the favor. They don't necessarily seal the game for the people, but they will skew it so that one team has an advantage. There's an advantage.
But the thing is about that though is you cannot call a game just because that call was called at the end of the game.
All Detroit.
Dude, there's called throughout the whole game.
Here's my point. How long is baseball? How long is baseball?
Well, that's different. That's fucked up.
Charles
Rogers,
all Detroit teams.
Calvin Johnson.
Yeah.
All Detroit teams. All Detroit teams have always been.
Professional baseball had umpires and shit, right? How long has it been? Maybe 100 years.
What's that?
Oh, ever since the game started.
Right.
Yeah.
So how the fuck could they have not perfected the art of that by now?
Once there's human error.
Exactly. There should be some human error. They're not going to be perfect. It's not going to be perfection, but some of the stuff to me is unexcusable. I mean, if I can't, you know.
I mean, I won't argue with you
but I strongly believe.
I'm not going to argue. No, you can convince me because any of us can watch a game. We all agree on the Calvin Johnson game against the Bears last year. That was a
2
touchdown. The
years
game
ago.
was over 2 years ago. I'm sorry. That was a touchdown. The game was over. The Lions won.
Yeah.
But they come up with this bullshit rule. It's the same thing with the tuck rule. No one ever heard of it until, the rule came about. Until Tom Brady went down. But the thing is,
through the process,
if it was fixed, if it was right there, if it was fixed by the NFL,
bullshit.
Right there in a point in time, if it was fixed for
So
the
you're
NFL,
saying what if
it was fixed for the NFL to put the best team in, like you're saying, the Patriots wouldn't have got that call. Nobody knew who the Patriots were, and they weren't expected to beat the Rams. Oakland
the NFL can look at their map of all their teams and say, all right, we're not doing so good in retail sales and whatever you want to call it,
Arizona,
what do you call it? Like when they sell all their merchandise, what do you call that? I can't remember what the fuck. Like when fans buy a bunch of this shit.
I know what
say
you're
their
going.
sales are hurting here, so they'll let this team be successful and have a playoff run and do real good. They might not give them the Super Bowl, so that the sales improve in this area. So they might favor this team, even though at this time it's not the greatest team.
Then why not expand the playoffs and make more teams in there so they get more people?
You're a Lions fan, and seeing what they did last year, did they earn those 11 wins, or were they given to them?
No, fuck that. They earned that.
They earned more than that.
Shit.
But they earned the ones that they got. They weren't given to them. And
Lions
are a perfect example of what you're talking about.
Because Detroit's depressed, there's no fucking money, nobody to buy all the merchandise.
The minute
so they don't give a shit, so they're going to let us be a punching bag for the rest of the league who's got fucking money.
The minute that team is in
That's why we fucking lose bullshit games. How many fucking games did you get irate about? I was pissed about a lot of them going,
well, yeah.
Are you fucking kidding me?
But I'm saying they all can't be fixed to keep the Lions out, because if the Lions
what about the personal fouls on Sue? Why the fuck is he getting... He's pulling hair, or he hit the quarterback in the head when he clearly hit him underneath the back. I mean, come on,
the image, though, man. It's the ref.
But how if it's human error? Why isn't it fucking spread out evenly? Why is it always lopsided to one side?
Right.
To me, it's all fucking bullshit anymore, dude. I don't believe that the best teams with the best players who have the most heart and are the most prepared.
But when you're talking,
but not every team is supposed to have the best player.
Drew Brees isn't as good as he really is. Look, the Saints aren't as good. They're a bloated team.
There's a difference.
Why the fuck did Dallas all of a sudden come back after they built that brand new stadium? Their secondary was questionable at best. They fucking
didn't
suck.
come back.
Then they beat the fucking Eagles 2 games in a row to get a playoff berth. They were in the fucking helmet.
And then they got in and lost.
Yeah, still they got a playoff berth. They got a couple extra games.
If they would have won the Super Bowl,
if
they had won the Super Bowl, that would be the best thing for them.
That was really suspicious to me. How sudden they got all really fucking good all of a sudden in 2 games.
So you're saying that it can't happen. The talent can't come together. Then what about the Tigers this year? They were sucky at the beginning. Now they're ahead of their division. They had to just march back and take it. Now, was it fixed for them to win to get ahead, or have they earned it?
I bet if you could break it down in statistics and look at how many look at the nature of penalties and what do you want to call it, and interference, stuff like that on a certain team, and see what the outcome of the score is. And I think that you clearly see that the team who ends up getting penalized more doesn't win.
It's not necessarily the way you're looking at it, Christopher. It's done more along favorites.
Would you have
the Dallas Cowboys have always been favorites of people. They always get the calls.
They're American teams.
Yankees always get the call.
You have some legacy teams that will always have good.
That'll always get and every
Michigan
team,
State or
every team,
University of Michigan is one of them.
Every team, but Michigan hasn't got the calls. Have you witnessed the last 4 years?
Right, because they're a legacy team. Their core is hardcore. They're going to be there.
No, I mean they ain't got no free wins. They were lucky to win any games at all, and I'm their biggest fan. So I'm saying that if that was the truth and they wanted the good teams to win, Michigan would be winning as much as Alabama because they have fans everywhere.
Just like they do.
Everywhere. Michigan has more. I would bet you if everyone voted online, look at every year on that video game when they vote, 2 schools always dominate for the most fans. No.
Ohio, Michigan, and Ohio State.
Always competing on that online game from around the world on NCAA of who's going to win the most fan votes. It's always those 2. Even over the teams that win, like Alabama, LSU. But see, they're 2 different monsters. When you talk about college and pros, college is corrupt because there's not money. There's not money flowing to the
No,
people.
there's
That's what
money.
makes college.
No,
but
they
there's
get
not money
money.
going to
It's
the
not
people.
going to the players.
Not
no.
going to the players, and that's what makes
No.
it corrupt because
That makes it
then
even
someone
more
pays the
corrupt.
player. Like Christopher's a great running back at the University of Alabama.
Yeah.
I know you want to go to pros. I think you want to stay one more year. Can't tell me that shit don't happen.
Right.
Well,
Now in the pros, the corruption's totally
what
different.
about that
Yeah.
never-ending second at Michigan State?
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'll never.
It's in every aspect of it. I'm
Oh, yeah.
saying that the purity it's entertainment anymore. Dude.
Well, yeah,
Hockey's
yeah.
entertainment.
Yeah.
It's not a
But to
real
me-
competition of the best man wins. It's not that. You have some pure sports that are like that. Even boxing and like
Well,
fighting
no
is-
sports.
is-
Just
is-
for all sports. Look at all the drugs they take now.
Well.
HGH, human growth hormone, steroids. The shit's rampant. Even horse racing is filled with milkshakes and all kinds of shit.
Right.
There is no even race car, NASCAR, something that should be pure because it's one car versus another. Just two guys driving. But yet you find out one car had a couple fins
Different
sliced
setup.
so
Yeah.
that it was a little bit lighter and allowed to go. Nothing is pure like that anymore. That's just America.
Well,
though. Society is
If
driven.
you're not
that.
Society.
cheating, you're not racing. I think that's a little bit different.
Oh, right.
You know?
If you're not cheating, you're not doing anything
Yeah,
to a
that-
point
yeah,
to get a
racing,
leg up.
yeah. I don't have so much a problem
I think
in the
40
racing world.
minutes.
No,
No,
this
so we
is
started
10
at
minutes
30.
into this segment.
29
Yeah.
or whatever.
But as far as that goes, I don't know. But when it's like when people believe in it, and they put their hopes and dreams in it, and people kick their TVs in because of it, and all that kind of thing. I enjoy it, but it's not to that point because I know that it's not necessarily it's fiction to a degree.
Right.
That dude,
Right.
that's
It's orchestrated and made.
Look, you know me,
To go in
and
the
you
one
know,
way.
you know the one sport I love most of anything is football. It's the only thing I care about. It's the only sport I've ever cared about. That's why I play fantasy football nowadays. It's one thing that keeps me going because I'm not gonna lie. I'll admit you're right. Before I got fantasy football was getting old because you always knew who was gonna win, who was gonna lose.
To a point, yeah.
That's why I say about playing the Madden video game in the NCAA. I can sit there and watch everybody play. I did it a couple years ago, remember, Brian? And I watched, and I could tell I was right 85% of the time in telling you who was going to win by watching the first 5 minutes because the game chooses. And no matter
I
how
think
good
it's
the
in
guy
the game.
plays,
It's
you
just
might
too
make
fucking real, huh?
you might make a comeback. You might make a comeback, but that person never won. They come back and scare you, but they still always lose by a botched field goal, a fumble. That's just a video game. But I know what you're saying. When that guy for the referee got arrested and went to prison because they were investigating him, they were investigating mafia guys, what the FBI was doing,
Yeah, they were.
and they just caught him on videotape
Racketeering.
talking. But
I hate
when
to
that
invoke his name because he was a good man for baseball, but Pete Rose.
Pete Rose should be in the Hall of Fame, I think, because it doesn't
Oh,
matter
yeah,
what he
he
did
should
as a
be.
manager.
But he
It
bet
matters
against his
what
own
he did as a
team.
player.
That's what I'm
So?
saying. It's
No, they never proved he bet against his own team. They just
No.
proved he
He
bet
bet
on
on
his
the
team,
games,
on a
yeah.
game, and that was illegal, no
Yeah.
betting.
Yeah.
But I think
Especially
for what
on
he
your
did
own
as a
team.
player, he should be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
He was one of the
games.
best players ever. And
Yes.
even when you're a player,
Yes.
if you're betting on your team, well, then you got to go out and perform. So
Doesn't he got 4,000 hits
Yeah.
plus? Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
he's a monster. He should
nobody
be in the
fucking
Hall of
hits
Fame.
4,000 hits, dude. 3,000 is the benchmark, and he's got 4. Damn.
And he won't be in the Hall of Fame because he was betting on a game.
He's trying to earn a couple extra bucks.
Do you think anybody should be stripped of their stuff or their stats in baseball for known steroid abuse?
Yeah, I think so. a
I
little
think
bit.
so.
Because that actually gives an advantage.
Because
titles.
the
It
people,
actually gives an advantage.
the people that earned them before
Barry
him.
Bonds was not that big when he was with Pittsburgh,
No.
Yeah, they said his fucking hat size went up.
and I guess he's not that big again.
Yeah.
Look at the diamond.
Yes. You know, I mean,
I think there should at least be an asterisk next to their name.
yes.
Because you can't tell me that he earned what Babe Ruth did. The people
Right.
nowadays earned what they did because back then they were getting drunk and right on the field.
That
So,
Right,
Ruth was
right.
drunk when he
Smoking and
played,
drinking
man.
on the
field,
Smoking
yeah.
cigars and shit.
well, the old Lions quarterback Bobby Lane, there's stories about him throwing up on the
Right.
bed and drinking through his face mask.
He had that one picture that what was he on
Took the
LSD
acid,
or
took the
whatever,
acid,
you know,
pitched
and fucking
perfect
pitched
game.
a perfect game.
But
Nice,
when
he
that
zoned
referee,
in.
yeah,
Literally.
you know, like come on.
when they arrested that
He's like,
referee,
all right, you little flower. My fucking ball.
Yes.
I'm gonna throw it right in that frog's mouth.
That's